Recently, the total cost of Helldivers 2 has re-entered the conversation, and I think there's a few interesting points I can make here and some interesting stuff to talk about, so let's talk about Helldivers 2 and the total cost of the game. Now, I've been playing Helldivers 2 since launch game. I've been playing the game, I've been making videos, I have well over 100 Helldivers 2 videos, so just to put some bias out there, I love Helldivers and I will defend Helldivers as much as I can, and people have accused me of being a glazer and overlooking some of their many faults. Helldivers 2 has faults. Arrowhead has made bad decisions. But is the pricing one of those? Let's talk about it. First, we need to figure out how much the total amount costs, and apparently there's some debate over this. It's math, so math should be one answer, but it's not. This Redditor says everything would cost $447.11 if you bought everything right now. However, I believe this is flawed because in the comments he stated that this is assuming you don't play the game at all and you don't unlock any extra super credits or medals, and that's just not realistic. The user Max Leveled recently put out a new video asking how much it costs to buy everything and did a much better analysis, I believe, and his analysis accounts for like total bundles and things like that, and we came to $343, or you can get cheaper if you're buying like the big bundles. Now, of course, this number can change as you play the game and unlock super credits, or if you do super credit farming, and that's a whole other debate where people are like, well, I don't want to buy the game and then grind for 150 hours to unlock the super credits. Other people just hack them in, which don't do that, that's terrible. And other people just kind of gain them as they're playing and they're okay with that. So there's not one set number that is going to be accurate for everyone's experience. So for the purposes of this video and asking, is it worth paying it? I'm going to use a little bit of a modified number. I'm going to take this number here, the $264, plus the cost of the base game, the $40, and I'm going to combine it and make it even $300. Is Helldivers 2 worth $300 to have everything? And at first glance, $300 for a video game just seems absolutely outrageous, right? The immediate knee-jerk reaction is no, a game should cost you $70 or maybe like $100 for an Ultimate Edition that includes all DLC. $300 for a video game, what are they thinking? But it's not that outlandish in today's landscape. For example, World of Warcraft, a live service MMO that's very popular and people know about it. The Epic Edition of the latest expansion, which comes out every 2 years and they want to make it fast enough, that's $90, plus you have to pay a monthly subscription. As you can see here, you can save a little bit of money by subscribing for the whole year, but if you're paying just month to month, that's $15 a month, plus the $80 for the expansion every 2 years, which would equate to more than Helldivers 2 cost. Now granted, it's not a completely fair one-to-one comparison because one is an MMO that gets much more high-quality patches, much more content, there's much more to do, there's evergreen content, there's a lot of different characters and classes, so I'm not sure that's the best example, but my point was that there are games that already cost you $300 or more to enjoy. And that's not even getting into the whole, like, if you get into Umamasame or Genshin Impact or gacha games in general, like, you're looking at way more than $300. And then you have things like Fortnite that just add so much stuff. And I know that there's a lot of hate for Fortnite, and I don't know that this number is accurate either because I don't play Fortnite, so I can't look at the store really. I couldn't tell you, but according to my Google Foo, if you were to go buy absolutely everything in Fortnite right now, it would cost about $26,000. So hey, $300 looks like a bargain compared to that. The closest comparison I think we could realistically draw is Deep Rock Galactic, since people compare the games all the time. You can see here getting all the DLC for Deep Rock Galactic off of Steam looks to be about $133.86. Now granted, that's also including, you can see like the soundtrack there, which isn't in-game stuff. I just grabbed the entire cost of it, which is about half of what it would be to do Helldivers 2, and Deep Rock Galactic has been around a lot longer. But ultimately, when you're comparing costs and things like that, the main core crux of the issue is, am I getting value for my dollar? And I think the answer to that is often no, and that's why a lot of people are upset. Often the war bonds will only have 1 or 2 items in it that are actually like worth anything. A lot of it's throwaway stuff or stuff you won't use, and the fact that you can only use 1 or 2 items at a time means like even if you own all the war bonds, which I do, not to humble brag, but like 90% of the war bonds I don't even touch anymore because it's either better items or more fun items have come out, or I'm not doing a mission type that requires that kind of item, so it just sits there anyway. So you're paying money to collect things digitally that you're never going to use, right? It'd be like buying a digital pop collection. It would just sit there, you could look at it, sure, but it doesn't do a whole lot, and that doesn't feel good all the time. For example, the next war bond has 2 new mechs in it, which I don't really use the mechs, so I won't be doing that. The pilot armor doesn't really have anything too exciting for me with the increased move speed, so I won't be using that. So if I were to buy that war bond for the machine gun, you're paying $10 for a primary, probably, being realistic, won't use either because you already have the crossbow, the eruptor, which are way, way better in basically every scenario. So obviously in that example, the answer is just don't buy it, don't spend the money on it. But there are people out there who simply can't do that. There are people who have to have everything, people who have to collect everything. There are completionists who just they can't wrap their head around not purchasing something. They need to have it. So I understand for people like that, it's a frustrating experience where it's like, well, I want to have everything, but I want everything to be useful or good or in some way valuable to me if I'm going to spend my money on it. And honestly, the best way to enjoy Helldivers 2 in the modern day, I think, is to just buy the base game for the $40 it costs, and then just buy 1 or 2 war bonds that have the items in it that you really, really want, and just slowly unlock the rest of them. Again, you can't bring every single item on every single run, so even if you own all the war bonds, you're only going to be using 1% of them anyways at a time. And I know Arrowhead got a lot of praise for this originally, so it's worth bringing up that, hey, there's no fear of missing out. Those war bonds will always be available to you, so there is no rush. But one last thing I thought would be fun to look at is, okay, $300 price point. Say you've never played a video game in your life, and you get $300 to get all the games. Would you be better served to get that on Helldivers 2 and unlock everything? Or could you enjoy other games more or get more bang for your buck for purchasing other games? So I thought this would be a fun little thing though. If we had a $300 budget, could we assemble an elite list of games that would show that it would be worth not buying Helldivers 2? Let's take a look at it. Slay the Spire 2, $25 give or take. Red Dead Redemption 2, $15 give or take. Elden Ring, even though I personally don't like Elden Ring, I know that if I left it off this list, people would complain, so Elden Ring, $30. Stardew Valley, an absolute must, $7.50. The Stick of Truth, an absolutely must play. Historical low is $1, which barely even counts, so I'm going to put it at the regular like $15 price. You can find it, you can definitely get it on sale for less, but let's say $15 for the regular if you're buying it like whole price, never on sale. Hades 2, $22. Factario, $20. Metal Gear Solid Delta, one of the best games, must play, $30. Final Fantasy, you get the bundle of 1 through 6 for $40, and you can get the Ylvis Chronicles, which you should get for $30, so that's what, $72 altogether? Doom 2016 for $2, and then Doom the original, the 1993 for $4. We're talking $5 altogether here. Yeah, of course. That leaves you with about $60 depending on how good of sales you get, how patient you are, which means you could buy basically a new game with the remaining money, and that's a pretty hard to beat lineup. So if you're comparing all of the Helldivers to war bonds, which again, you can't use all at the same time, you're going to get some limited fun out of it, versus a lineup like that, it's really hard pressed to say that you should spend that money on Helldivers 2 when you could get such great games and such value for such a long time and across a breadth of genre for the same cost. So when you put it in terms like that, as much as I love Helldivers 2 and I want to support Helldivers 2, and I always say, hey, buy the war bonds to give them some money so they can continue to make us good content, it's really, really hard to justify that price tag when you put it that way. That being said, I think the point being made here is that they need to find some other way to monetize. People obviously just aren't finding value in the war bonds anymore, and there will always be people who are upset about, well, what about all the free stuff? And they do give us some free stuff. We did get the Bastion tank for free, but obviously that's not enough for some people. And there will always be people who want more stuff for free, because why wouldn't you want more stuff for free? But I think every time they release a war bond, it devalues all the other war bonds because of power creep. And again, I know I've harped on this a lot, but you can only use so many items at once. So at a certain point, there's just no value in buying the new war bonds. I understand they need money to continue to make the game and continue to update the game. That's how live service games work, but we need to find some other way to get monetization. And there's not much they can honestly do. Like, yeah, they could sell some skins. People would be upset about that, but that's kind of like the go-to move, right? You sell some colorful armor and skins, but as soon as you crack open that monkey paw, as soon as you make that wish, we're going to start getting crossover events and things that kind of ruin the canon of the world and the vibes. And while some people don't mind that, some people want to play Warhammer Helldivers, some people want My Little Pony Helldivers. I know there's a great deal of people who do not want that. So you can sell skins as long as you have like the ability to turn it off. So like I can turn it off, say I don't want to see other people's custom premium skins. But then you'll have people upset, well, I paid $20 for this skin. I want other people to be able to see it. So that's of course the most obvious option, is adding skins to the game. I think there's some unique ones they could do that would be like one-time purchases. Heroes of the Storm, for example, does voiceover skins where you can have different characters be the announcer. So imagine if all the Helldivers voices on your end sounded like the cyborgs or the automatons or the bugs or whatever you want it to be, having like a different announcer for the different things that are said in game. That could be an easy way to get some extra money that would be unique and different and maybe a little bit more customized than a skin. They're making a board game. They're doing a movie. They're partnering up with McFarlane Toys to sell some Helldivers minifigures, action figures, whatever you want to call them. And that's probably the best route to go, is to get the monetization out of the game and find other ways such as apparel, merchandise, movies, or other things to bring money into the franchise, because I just don't know that they can sustain Helldivers 2 at the cost of the war bonds. Especially with how volatile the community is. Like, you never know when you're going to get a review bomb, a boycott. They definitely are a very, very passionate community. So you never know when they're going to turn on you and you're going to have a downturn in cost or players or whatever it may be. So now comes the part where I ask you questions. 1, if you own all of the war bonds, do you feel like you've gotten your money's worth if you paid for them? I've paid for every single war bond, so I'm definitely out a good chunk of change on those. And as I said, I'm enjoying the war bonds, but I do feel I get less and less value each time I purchase a war bond because there's less and less stuff for me to use. If you haven't bought all the war bonds, how do you feel about having to buy all the war bonds? Are you just going to farm them up? Do you feel like farming? I know in that max leveled video, I mentioned that they talked about like the cost of going and farming all of the super credits. I believe they said somewhere around like 150 hours to unlock everything. Do you like doing that? Do you think that's fair? Let me know down in the comments down below. As always, thank you for watching and have a blessed day.